Good morning, yogis. Welcome. We have 60 minutes of yin yoga today. My name is Kelly. Thank you for joining me live, or if you're taking the class later, that's great too. Yin yoga is accessible to do anytime during the day, so know that you can do this at any time. We are going to have the option to use some props today, and our biggest prop that we're going to use today will be a wall. So if you can practice near a wall that doesn't have a lot of things around it, that's going to be helpful for you because we're going to do some of the shapes on the wall. You could also use the side of a refrigerator or anything like that where you can put your legs up. If you don't have access to that, know that you can take any of these postures seated as well. And I'll kind of give options for that. If you have other props, that's great. I'll show you where you can use them. You could have a bolster. Blankets are always nice. We'll have some options to use a strap if you want, but you don't have to have one. And then of course, blocks are always nice to have around. I do have a playlist associated with this class. I emailed it to you if you were signed up. It's called, I think I called it Go With It or With Yin, Go With Yin, or With Yin. So if you don't have it, if you go to my Spotify, you can get it there. So we are going to begin in some non-wall postures, and then we'll add in the wall, and then we'll go back to being away from the wall at the end. And just remembering as you move through your practice today that the most important thing is how you're feeling in your body. So judge how you feel. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. So adjust as necessary. You want to feel comfortable. You can feel an intensity, but there shouldn't be any sharp or shooting pain. So if you have your playlist, go ahead and start that. I'm going to start mine. And we are going to begin in a crocodile pose. So we're actually going to begin on our bellies. So you can come down onto your belly, and you can let the elbows come out wide and just stack the palms one on top of one another, and then let the forehead come down on the stacked palms. And we'll just take a couple moments to ground here in what's called crocodile pose. So this one is really nice to attach to the earth and to start to turn inward to kind of ground us. So when things become overwhelming, this is always a nice posture to take to kind of slow things down. So as you're settling in, just a little bit about yin yoga. So we practice yin yoga as a counter to our more active or yang practices. We're not looking here to get our heart rate up. We're not trying to work the muscles. We're actually trying to get into the denser tissues in our body. So more the fascia, the tendons, the ligaments. We're asking them to somewhat come back to their full range of motion. So we're working on getting rid of scar tissue, perhaps old injury, and just bringing back that healthy range of motion that we maybe once had. So always being patient with your body and letting time help you to start to open up. Beautiful yogis. You can stay exactly where you are, or we'll start with a little bit of a hip opener. So we're going to take it from crocodile into half frog. So the arms will actually stay in crocodile pose. And then just begin to draw the right knee up towards the right elbow. So you can think like a 90-degree angle in this right leg if you would like. So the knee is even with the hip, and then the ankle is even with the knee. Flexing the toes can be nice if that feels good for you. You always do have the option if you prefer to cactus the arms and maybe look over the right shoulder towards the knee. Couple breaths here. So we're externally rotating our right hip. We're also stretching out the inner groin. Beautiful, yogis. We can begin to switch sides. So let that right leg come out long. And then begin to draw the left knee in. Again, you can set it up so knee and hip are even, and then knee and ankle are even. So making a 90-degree angle there, flexing the left toes if that feels okay. And you can have this palms still stacked. You could switch them, or you could have cactus arms and maybe even look over towards the left if that feels okay. A little passive stretch for the neck. And perhaps right away, you start to notice differences between your left and right side. That's completely normal. Our bodies are not built symmetrically. Our joints articulate differently. We have some old injuries and scar tissues perhaps that cause that unevenness, but that's normal. So know that it's absolutely okay to take different variations of postures on each side. Beautiful, yogis. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And open the mouth, exhale, and release. You can let that left leg come out long on the mat. Coming back into crocodile pose. And then we'll come into a heart opener here. This will be the only one we'll take today. We'll find Sphinx pose. So press into your hands enough that you can lift up. We want to try to place the elbows underneath the shoulders. So if you do that and it's too much in the lower back, then I want you to move your elbows a little farther away from your body and come down a little bit more. So that'll make that chest opener a little bit less intense. I'm actually going to turn to the side to show you this view. So props that can be used here. You can have a bolster underneath your chest. You can also use a block underneath the chest as well, even on the ribs. Or you could have a block underneath the head for support here. I would like you to press just a little bit into the forearms and the hands here. So it's a little bit more active here. And the reason for that is so that we don't sink in between the shoulder blades and cause pinching. So we're pressing a little bit just so that we can widen the collarbones. And imagine you're drawing your chest through your arms. Some people like to drop their head back. That's absolutely okay. Or if you'd like to tuck your chin into your chest to stretch out the back of the neck. Do check in with the heels of the feet. So feet can be together or far apart. It's completely up to you. But I do want the heels either to be straight up or falling away from one another. We don't want them to fall in towards one another. That actually closes off the sacrum. Take a couple breaths here. So we're opening the front of the chest, the entire front side of the body. And this one's really nice to take if you're having to sit a lot or your posture when you're not thinking about it is not the best. This one's also great if you've done a killer ab workout. This stretches everything out. Great, yogis. From here, we're going to take a nice shoulder stretch here. So you don't have to move your body, but all you're going to do is take your right hand and take it over towards your left elbow, and then take your left hand and take it towards your right elbow. So now my forearms are parallel to the short edge of the mat, and I begin to walk the fingers away from one another. So this one's called Sailor's Knot, and you might not come down very far. You can keep the block underneath the forehead if you'd like, Or you could rest your chin on your front arm, which should be the left one. So this is stretching in between the shoulder blades, the outsides of the shoulders, from the armpit area. A little bit of a weird stretch. We don't hold it for too long. Our shoulders are a little bit more of a delicate joint, so we don't spend as much time on them. No, obviously, if this does not feel good in your body, excuse me, then please skip it. All right, slowly begin to walk the elbows towards one another. Undo the arms, then we're gonna take the other side. So left hand towards the right elbow, right hand towards the left, and then begin to walk away. So this time the right arm should be in front, the left arm closer to the body. Then you call this sailor's knot. I've also heard this called bow tie. Maybe this time you turn your palms up to play with that. Does that feel a little bit different? Beautiful, yogis. Releasing this, begin to walk the elbows in closer to one another again. And then you have an option here. We're just going to take a transition. You can come back into crocodile with the forehead on the stacked palms, or you could bring the arms out into cactus arms. And you'll make it a little bit more active if you do this. Forehead down. No matter which you choose, we're going to bend the knees, let the feet come towards the ceiling, and get to windshield wipe them. Now, if you're still in crocodile, you can stay there. If you have the arms cactus and you'd like, one at a time, very slowly, you can press into one hand and turn up onto the hip here and kind of stretch the front of the pec a little bit. So again, if that feels good in your body, feel free to take advantage of it. So we're stretching out the front of the chest here, kind of countering what we just did. But if that doesn't work, then skip it. Beautiful, and then eventually let your legs come out long, hands underneath the shoulders, press yourself up. We're gonna find a tabletop position for just a moment here. So the wrists underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. Find a neutral here. Then we'll move it a little bit, drop the belly, look up, tailbone up, find cow pose. And then exhale, chin to chest, press the earth away. As slow or as quickly as you'd like, just take a couple rounds of this. Just bring some undulation into the spine and know that you can circle around if that feels good. Maybe sit back for a couple of breaths in child's pose if you prefer. You can also move between the two of them. Just a little bit of intuitive movement here before we move on to our next shape. All right, once you've completed your next round, bring your hips to your heels and then sit to the side. We're gonna take a seated posture next. This will be our last shape we'll take before we find the wall. So for seated postures, you might wanna sit on a rolled up blanket. You could also sit on a bolster if you wanna lift your hips up a little bit, but know that you don't have to. So we're gonna find half butterfly, forward bend. So as you're ready, let your legs come out long first. Situate yourself how you want to be sitting on whatever prop that you're going to use. So I'm going to use a rolled up blanket here underneath my hips. And then when you're ready, hold on underneath the back of your right knee and hug the right knee into the chest for a moment. Just bringing the knee into the chest, starting to wake it up. And now we're going to let it externally rotate. So let that right knee come out to the side. Once you've done that, your legs can stay exactly as they are, or you could open that left leg a little bit more out to the side if that feels good. Now here we'll have options to use blocks or bolsters or pillows if we need. So we're going to find a forward bend here. So go ahead and turn over your left leg and start to lift your chest a bit. The fingertips are onto the earth. And then begin to walk yourself any amount forward over that straight leg. As you notice, I'm not going very far, but I am in yin practice going to let my spine round. So I'm going to tuck my chin into my chest and let myself round down a little bit. So because I'm here in space, I might want to bring props underneath me that could help me to fold forward in any orientation that you would like. This can work too for people. And know that if it's absolutely too much for this leg to be straight, you can bend this knee. It'll take it out of the hamstring, but you're still getting a nice stretch for the inner hip. So it's completely up to you. But if you can, folding forward over that straight leg. We're going to take this one in stages. So this is our first stage. The target areas here, external rotation of the right hip. We're also stretching out the inner groin. And we're stretching the hamstring on the straight left leg. Beautiful yogis, begin to walk your hands back in towards your body. And then walk your hands to center. So this time we're going to fold straight forward. And you might find that there's differences here. Maybe you can come farther down when you're in this orientation. Maybe you find less ability to come down. So again, your prop options, you can always put a bolster underneath the forehead. Or you could have this bolster here with a block for support. So we reach compression sometimes in different points of where our hip articulates. So you might find that you feel a lot more pressure in the front of the hip this way instead of this way. So maybe here you can come a little bit deeper. You can see in my body, I can come a little bit deeper when I go down the center. Again, I'm just releasing here. I'm letting the spine round. Maybe even I'm turning my palms up. Yin is about softening into the shapes versus trying to kind of force your body into it or fight with your body. It tends to not work as well. So just try to soften into these shapes. Beautiful yogis, start to walk your hands back in towards your body. We're going to have one more variation here with some options. So the first thing we're going to do is take a gentle twist. So walk your right hand behind your body, and you can take your left hand to your right knee, and just gently twist to your right. You can stay in this twist if that feels good for you. We'll just be here for a little bit, or you could take a side bend. So you can hold on to the knee if you'd like, and then reach the right arm up and over towards the straight leg. Or you could, instead of holding on to the knee, take the arm to a block or the inside of the leg to take the side stretch. So more of a transitional move here. We won't be here for long. It feels nice sometimes to stretch out the side of the body. Maybe breathe a little bit more into that lung. Wonderful. And then gently rise up. Let the hands come down. And you can gently use your hand to help your right knee up. Maybe close the left leg in a little bit and straighten the legs out for a moment. Bounce the legs out here. If you'd like to take some windshield wipes with the knees, know that that's always a nice transition as well. Maybe lifting up off of the hips for a moment, lifting up into a reverse tabletop. Transitional moves are done just to kind of bring blood flow back into the body, movement. It'll feel good before we take the second side. All right, half butterfly, forward bend, side 2. So hug the left knee into the chest to start. A lot of times moving the hip this way instead of immediately letting it fall out is a little bit healthier for our hips. It's a little bit better for the range of motion. As you're ready, let that left knee start to fall out. So the left foot to the inside of the right thigh, and the legs can stay here, or you can open them up a little bit more if you would prefer. Again, you could be sitting on a prop, you might not be. So we'll begin by folding over that straight leg. Whether or not you flex these toes is completely up to you. You can relax them or you can keep them flexed. Walk your hands to frame your straight left-right leg, and then begin to walk your hands forward. And again, we have a rounded spine here. So we're not trying to keep the spine flat, as we often do in vinyasa and hold onto the foot and pull. It's not the point here. We're actually just trying to soften into this forward bend. So we're feeling the hamstring on the straight leg, external rotation of the hip on the bent leg, and also a groin stretch. Taking it to where it works in your body, propping up as you would like. And remember, if this hamstring it's too much, you can bend the knee. You could even put a bolster underneath the knee or a blanket if that helps. We always want to be a little bit cautious with our hamstrings, not to overdo it. So again, the point here is not to hold the foot and try to pull. It's to try to soften and release. Couple more breaths. Beautiful, walking your hands back in towards your body. And now we'll take it down the center line. So keeping the legs as they are, just begin to walk your hands forward. So folding down the center and maybe feeling the differences here. If over the straight leg, you are really needing compression in the front of that hip, sometimes coming to the front will help you to soften it a little bit deeper. And if you find that you have an orientation that you prefer in this posture in yin, know that you could always stick with that one for the entire time versus doing this in different stages. I kind of teach this in different stages so you can start to feel where your body is. And then you kind of make the decisions that work best for you. Yogis, begin to walk your hands back in towards your body. Again, we'll take that final variation a little shorter here. We'll take the twist first. So bring your left hand behind your body, and your right hand can attach to the left knee. Maybe you stay here, just this nice twist for a moment, kind of lifting up. Or you have the option of taking the side bend. So the right hand can hang onto the left knee, and then you can reach your left arm over towards your right leg. Or having the support here. You can even bring the palm to the temple for a little bit of support, or maybe the elbow reaches the earth. Just to reach over for a moment. Again, just a nice lateral side body stretch. We don't stretch that area of our body, especially find right above the back of my hip. This always feels good because I don't tend to do this very often. Beautiful. And then gently press yourself back up. You can bring your hands behind your body or maybe use your hands to bring your knee up. And then lengthen the legs out. And again, we'll shake them out for a moment. All right, once we're ready, we're going to find our wall. So you can pull your mat against the wall if that works for you. And again, if you don't have a wall, know that I will kind of cue how these can just be done seated as well. I will give an option to use a strap here. It makes things a little bit more restorative. I'll show how to do it, but if you don't have a strap or a scarf that you can use, you don't have to. Where it's going to go eventually is around your thighs first. So making it about the distance you would need to circle it around your thighs. All right, so props as far as the wall. Blocks really probably won't be needed. You could have a blanket underneath the back of your hips because you know your hips are going to be down for a while. The other thing that I'm going to show really quickly is you can use a bolster underneath kind of your lower back if you'd like. So some people when they're on the wall, and we're going to be on the wall for about 20 minutes, if that's too much for you to be lying flat on your back, if you put a bolster about 3 or 4 inches away from the wall, and then what that'll do is that'll allow that normal lumbar spine curve to be supported. Not everybody needs that, but if you ever want to try that out, if you feel like this bothers your tailbone, you could try that. So the bolster about 3 or 4 inches away from the floor, just so that your legs are going to be on the wall, but your seat would actually be lifted a little bit there with a little bit of support. All right, so if you have a strap and you would like to use it, my tiny device, what you'll do is bring the strap around your thighs. Again, as I said, you don't need a strap, but this will make it a little bit more restorative if you would like. So you'll have it around your thighs so that your feet are about hips width distance. And then the easiest way to get onto the wall is to bring one side or the other as close as you can to that wall. So, and then you kind of scoot to the front of your mat, almost so that you're off of it because eventually you're going to go to the side. Come down onto your elbows. And then you can lie all the way down and then just shoot your legs up and turn yourself around so that your legs are up the wall. So once you're here, this is actually our first shape. It's legs up the wall. Now, if you have that strap, it's around the thighs and it's just kind of allowing things to be able to settle without you having to hold the legs up. But if you don't have a strap, that's absolutely fine too. So from here, arms could be cactused out to the side. You could bring the arms over the top of the head in a diamond shape, or they could be out to either side. You can also just have them down by your sides if you would prefer. So legs up the wall, one of my favorite postures. Sometimes it's called waterfall. In Vinyasa, we call it Viparita Karani. And if you don't have a wall, doing this away from the wall with some sort of padding underneath your sacrum, for your hips in the back here, will be a little bit more restorative, so you can get the same benefits. You can also do a seated forward fold with your legs straight. So that's honestly what we're doing right here. We just have a different orientation. So here we're really focusing on the hamstrings on the back of the legs as well. Gently flexing your toes in towards your face. You might feel it a little bit more in the hamstrings. Just allow the wall to help you here. Yogis, moving into our second shape on the wall. You can begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes, just starting to wake the body up a little bit. If you have a strap, all you're going to do is slide it down to your shins, so below the knees, and start to bend the knees a little bit. So we're going to find wall child's pose. So in doing so, you just kind of bring the feet down a little bit closer to the body, or closer to the floor, and you let your knees come out a little bit. Now it depends like the angle of the legs here, so you might have to scoot yourself away from the wall a little bit to bring your knees down a little bit farther. So this is also called a wall squat. If you don't have a strap and you want to let your knees come out a little wider, or you can loosen the strap so the knees come out. So the soles of the feet stay attached to the wall, but the knees come out a little bit. So this now brings a little bit of compression into the front of the hips. So you might feel that, a little compression in the belly. If you can, we do want to try to make sure we're at a 90-degree angle here. So try not to keep your feet up as much, but bring them down so that we can get that healthy compression. But where the choice is how far apart the knees go. So I actually am probably going to lose my strap here and let my knees go, or loosen it and let my knees go a little bit wider. And you can lose the strap altogether if you would like. What we're going for here is trying to create a little bit of healthy compression in the front of the hip joints and the hip flexors here. Psoas muscle. So, you think of compression or tension being unhealthy, but you can find a healthy amount of tension and compression in a joint. And if you're not feeling sharp or shooting pain and you can press into that a little bit, what'll happen is that'll end up promoting healing there. So as you release it, lots of fresh blood comes in there and kind of flushes things out. So there is a way to have healthy compression in joints. Just always want to avoid sharp or shooting pain. That's not going to be healthy. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of a transitional stretch here. So you can let the knees come in a little bit closer. And again, you might have to push yourself a little bit farther away from the wall. Know that if you ever end up too far away, you can always bring yourself back and reorient yourself up the wall. We're going to take a pigeon stretch here. So keeping your right foot attached to the wall, you're going to cross your left ankle over your right thigh. So we take this shape sometimes lying down without the wall. We can take it seated. We also take it on our bellies. So this one can be a lot, especially on the knees. So this can be a good orientation to take it if you have knee issues. So remember that. So you can take your hand, if you'd like, your left hand, and press into your left knee a little bit to encourage that external rotation. You also might feel this a little bit in the outside of the left hip. Beautiful. This one's more of a transition, so we're going to go ahead and release it. Let the left foot touch onto the wall. And again, you're looking for that 90-degree angle, so try not to have the foot up too high. The heel should be even with the knee. You press your hips up a little bit in order to cross your right leg over your left. And this can feel pretty intense, but it at least takes the pressure off of the knee because you're not going to lay on the knee. So hopefully the target area is more of the outer hip that you're feeling. Also the inner hip, the groin. And again, that right hand can go to the inside of the right knee and gently press it away from you. If it makes your knee feel more stable, it's always okay to flex the toes. Wonderful, yogis. Let's release that stretch. And then we can send our legs back up the wall and just straighten them out for a moment. We have two more shapes we're going to take on the wall. So if you find that you've pushed yourself a little bit too far away, and I probably have, I'm actually going to transition myself back closer to the wall. So I'm just going to bring my knees down to the side, kind of sit up enough to scoot my booty back towards the wall. You can sit all the way up if you'd like, take your time. And then come down and send your legs back out. For these next two, we want our hips to be pretty close to the wall. Again, if you need that bolster underneath the hips, go ahead and find it. Adjust yourself as necessary. So the option here with the strap, if you'd like for these next couple, you could have the strap with the shoulder, or use the strap for the shoulders. So you can have the strap around either the forearms or above the elbows, and then have the arms over the top of the head, if that feels good. If not, you don't need the strap, and you can do whatever you'd like with your arms. We're going to find wall dragonfly. So I love this one because dragonfly for me seated does not really happen very well. So in Vinyasa, Upavishta Konasana, in Yin we call it dragonfly. So we're letting the legs open out to the sides. So as I said, when I take this on the wall, I can get much deeper into this stretch. When I take the fact that I'm not sitting on my sacrum anymore out of it. I have trouble with that anterior tilt of my pelvis, so that really restricts me. But on the wall, I find that I can find a lot more opening here. If you would ever like to make this more restorative, know that you can take blocks underneath your thighs for a little bit of support. So here we have external rotations of both hips. We're really stretching out the inner groin. We're also stretching out the hamstrings. Again, a little flex in the toes can help you feel that a little bit deeper. The arms in whatever orientation feels good for you. As you're breathing in and out, take a full body scan. Do you notice areas of tension in the body, maybe where you're still holding on? Our bodies really do try to help to protect us, especially our joints. So what that means is sometimes it's a little hard to get these denser tissues to start to soften. The tendons and the ligaments really want to hold on to things because they want to keep you safe. What you have to talk your body into is starting to trust you and to know that you'll make good decisions so that they can start to soften that grip a little bit to allow things to start to open. So as you're taking your full body scan, if you're noticing you've still got some tension in the inner thighs, maybe see if you can physically think about softening that a little bit, maybe creating just a little bit more opening. Again, we're kind of thinking of it as a request versus trying to tell your body what to do. Request that it's softened. Have 3 more nice breaths, deep breaths in wall dragonfly. You perhaps soften just a little bit more, finding your maximum range of motion. Once you've completed your 3 breaths, take your hands to the outsides of your thighs and gently start to help your legs to come up. So a little support here. A little bend in the knees if you'd like, and kind of bounce out the legs. Legs were straight there for a couple of breaths. So we're gonna let it kind of stretch out for a moment before we take our final wall shape. All right, and as you're ready, we'll take wall butterfly to end our wall sequence today. So we let the soles of the feet come together and then slowly start to slide them down the wall. So the heels come in towards the seat, the knees come out, and where you take this is kind of up to you. You can have the hands on the insides of the knees if you'd like, or even the insides of the hips, just for a little encouragement. So again, we've got external rotation of the hips here, but now we have the knees bent, taking the orientation a little different. Again, if you don't have a wall, this can be taken seated, just a seated butterfly. Yogis, let's take 3 more nice deep breaths in wall butterfly. Perhaps allowing that inner groin to open just a little bit more. Perhaps just a little pressure to the insides of the knees for that last little bit of stretch. Beautiful. And as you're ready, you can let those knees come in together and send the legs up a little bit and shake them out. Or you can hug the knees into the chest and rock a little left and right. Eventually, we'll find our way onto our sides. So bend your knees if you haven't yet, and land in fetal position on your side for a moment. Use your bicep as a pillow. So take your time here. Just letting things orient away from the wall. And eventually, as you're ready, pressing yourself up. Coming away from the wall, we have one more shape that we're going to take together today before our final Shavasana. So find a tabletop position. And just kind of bring a little bit of movement back into the body, just like we did before, however feels good for you. Maybe some cat-cow if you would like. So this last shape we're going to take, we've already taken it on the wall. So we took what you call wall pigeon. You could also call it wall swan. So in our yin class, we call what we usually call pigeon in vinyasa, we call it swan instead. It just sounds more graceful than a pigeon, but it's the same posture. And the reason I showed it to you on the wall was not only to kind of prepare us for it, but a lot of people have trouble taking swan because you're lying on your bent knee. So if you know already that that doesn't work for you, that traditional swan doesn't work, then either go back to the wall and take it like that, take it on your back, or take it seated. And taking it away from the wall, like we do sometimes in our vinyasa classes on our backs, can be just as beneficial as taking it in the traditional way. So I'll cue you into the traditional way with lots of different options. And again, I want you to be a little careful with this one. This one can be very intense, but it is a great posture. As you're ready, from your tabletop, I want you to lift your right leg up. And then you're going to step your right foot in between your hands. Now, a prop near you would be great. So for this one, you know, a blanket rolled up or a bolster can be nice and cushy. You can also use a block. So from here, we're going to walk our right foot over towards our left hand, and we're going to try to lie that shin down parallel to the short edge of the mat. Now we're going to take our time here. So when you really work to get this shin parallel, there are very few of us that this is on the floor. There's a lot of space there for me. So right away, I'm bringing that bolster diagonally across the back of my thigh, or a block, or a blanket, whatever you need. Because the idea here is we want to try to get our pelvis square. A lot of times what happens is people end up here. That's not doing as much good work, but know that this 90-90 can also be an alternative. So if this is working better for you, go for that. You can get into full swan. We try to have that left leg out straight behind us. You can stay lifted for a moment, and then maybe you're able to start to come down. You can come down onto your elbows. You can find a block underneath the elbows. You have a block underneath the forehead. So we'll be here for a little bit of time. And do know that the more that you have your heel in towards your groin, the less you're going to get into that target area. But some people, for the shape to be accessible, have to do that. But what I'd ask you to try is see if you bump up your hip, you actually can keep that shin more parallel. Because then we're going to get that work into the hip where we need it. So target area here is the piriformis of the bent leg. We also are lengthening the quad and the psoas of the straight leg. So breathe into this one. Again, no sharp or shooting pain. Well, yogis, continuing to breathe here. You can stay in whatever stage of swan that you are in, sleeping swan, if you're a little bit higher, or if this is pretty easy for you and you'd like to take it a little bit into a twist for the last minute or so, come up onto your elbows and we're going to take thread the needle. So you're going to slide your left or right, no, it is your left arm underneath and come down onto the shoulder. So the arm is going towards the bent knee. Then you can take your right arm around your back if you'd like, or you don't have to do that. You could find a half binds. So we're just taking thread the needle here to kind of stretch the shoulder, and then we're taking it a little bit more into a twist. Your fingers can always sometimes find your toe here if you want to get a little deeper. Beautiful. We don't hold that twist for long. Go ahead and unwind yourself. Wherever you are, begin to bring your hands underneath your shoulders and rise up. Begin to lift yourself up so that you can bring that right leg back. And let's circle it out. You can stretch it out long. You can sway the hips left and right. You can come up into downward dog for a moment if that feels good. Just bring a little bit of movement back into the body because you know where we're going on the second side. All right, yogis, as you're ready, we'll move into the second side. So this time we're lifting your left leg up. And then we're stepping that left foot in between the hands. And again, from here, begin to toe heel that foot across. So we're looking for that shin to be parallel to the short edge of the mat. Now, if you did this on the first side and you were like, oh, this is easy, but on this side, this knee isn't gonna work, take it in a different orientation. Lie on your back, sit down, go back to the wall. Again, my hip is really high off the earth here, so I'm bringing the pillow over because I really want to be able to keep my shin parallel. And so I want to keep my pelvis even here as well. I don't want to be dipping one side or the other. And again, always if you need, find 90-90 with the legs because that helps that shin to stay parallel and we're still working that piriformis. And then maybe you just slowly start to work that leg back. So if you glance back, you want those right toes to try to be straight out from behind you. Staying lifted here for a moment, and then know that you can start to work down into sleeping swan. So down onto the elbows. Some people can lie all the way down, using a block, a blanket, whatever you'd like. Flexing the toes a little bit on the bent knee can help the knee feel a little bit more stable, but it's not a requirement. If your knee feels fine, don't worry about it. This is one of these postures that is really good for our bodies, but it's also a challenging one. And know that working this deeply into the hips, a lot of times emotions can come up. You can feel a lot of anger in this posture. I think a lot of first-time yogis that have come to a class and been put right into Kitchener Swan have been like, this is not for me. It's a lot. So know that and just breathe through it. It does get easier. The piriformis is really hard to stretch and it's not something that we tend to stretch out and it's something that most people, it's very tight. What that ends up doing is causing a lot of sciatic pain. So this one really does help with sciatic pain, but you have to be patient with it. Yogis, you can stay exactly where you are, or if you'd like that option for the twist, you can bring your hands underneath your shoulders, rise up enough to slide that right arm underneath towards the bent knee. And maybe you come down onto your side, taking to thread the needle here, and then the left arm can come around the back in a half bind if you'd like. It's just a little bit of a different orientation, taking a little twist into it. Doesn't work in your body, please skip it. Releasing that twist if you've taken it. And then we all come back to center, bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. Beginning to lift yourself up enough so that you can bring that left leg back. And again, shake it out, circle it out. You could cross the knees here and sit back a little bit if that feels good. Or circle the hips, just bring some movement back into the body. Beautiful. Once you feel good, sit down on your heels and then sit to the side. We're going to lower down onto our backs. So taking whatever props that you would like with you. If you know you're going to want a bolster underneath the knees for your final Shavasana, take that. You could have a blanket over the body or underneath the back of the head. Lower yourself down by holding onto the back of the thighs. And for just a moment, take your feet out about mat's width distance and let the knees tent in for a moment. So we did quite a bit of externally rotating the hips today. So take a little moment here just to let them internally rotate. This is called constructive rest. And know you can stay here if this feels good. A lot of times this orientation of a Shavasana can be more comfortable in the lower back. But if you'd like, feel free at any time to lengthen the legs out. Again, maybe you have a bolster underneath the knees or a rolled up blanket. Find your shape to take just a little bit of time here to allow the body to settle, to feel the sensations, to notice how your body feels differently than when you started practice. So as you relax in your final Shavasana, I love to read from Journey to the Heart. This is a book by Melody Beattie. And actually today for May 1st, this is one of my favorite readings. So I figured I'd read the day that is today. So this one's called Learn to Release Old Toxins. Just as splinters can get embedded in our body, old emotions and beliefs can act like toxins and become embedded in us too. We may have picked up residue along the way, beliefs we didn't consciously choose, feelings we weren't safe enough to feel, toxins from the world around us. Now is a time of cleansing. Now is the time to heal your body and emotions, your mind and soul. What beliefs and emotions do you need to heal? Look around at your life right now. Once you've identified what you're feeling and thinking, release it. Let the energy go. Let it leave your body. You can chatter all you want about what's going on with you, but that doesn't release the energy from your system any more than talking about a splinter takes it out. Sometimes the process will sting just a bit when you pull out the splinter, but don't worry. It won't hurt for long, and soon you'll feel better than you felt in a long while. Often the process of releasing old toxins can be as gentle and natural as the way a flower or tree grows with sunshine and rain, a bit of fertile soil, and a little pruning and weeding. Growth can be gentle now. Growth can be fun. Breathe in new air. Breathe in new energy. Exhale the past, its feelings, beliefs, and toxins. Let it go. Let yourself be transformed. Yogis, feel free to relax in your final Shavasana for a little bit longer if that's what's calling to you. If you'd like to be led out of your practice, begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes, starting to reawaken the body. And eventually turn it into a full body stretch. Reach the arms up over the top of the head. And then eventually transitioning onto your left or right side. Find fetal position for a couple of breaths just to reorient. Put your biceps as a pillow. Maybe hug your knees in just a little bit closer to your body. Nice supportive feeling. Eventually pressing yourself up, joining me in a comfortable seat. We can find Anjali Mudra today, so bringing the palms together. Press the thumbs into the sternum into the thumbs. You can close your eyes, tuck your chin into your chest. Yogis, the light and love in me sees and honors the light and love in each and every single one of you. Thank you for practicing yin with me today. Namaste.